welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And today is episode 20.
Oh my god.
It is. We're recording episode 20. And the only reason I know that is because I was going through the notes and I was like, oh, okay, episode 19. And I was like, 20.
Yay.
Yep. So, and as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we have been working hard.
And hardly working.
All at the same time. Currently, our children are outside swimming. We are...
It's a billion degrees.
Yeah. It's what, like 100 right now?
I think I just checked and it was 102 again.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 105 this weekend.
Not as bad as the 108 it was on Saturday.
Yeah.
The last Saturday.
Yeah. It's been so hot. And I'm
It's only 101.
Oh, only 101. And we're sending our children out in that. But they're getting in the pool, so that's fine. But I bet you that water's so warm.
Well, it just got refilled, though, yesterday, right? It's probably not warm yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not talking about, like, a big, giant pool. Like, we have, like, a pop-up pool. I think I mentioned that last week.
It's like a mushy donut on top.
Yeah.
I love that, though, because the ring is what... As it fills up, it lifts it up, up, and then it puts itself up. It's cool. Yeah. It does it by itself.
Yep. So
it's very cute. But it's like the perfect size for the age of our kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like you just sit down and the water would be like up to your mouth on them, I think.
And Lincoln's not wearing swimmies now.
Because he's a swimmer, Mom.
I know.
It's so cute.
It's a little scary. No. It was like my mom sent me pictures of him like doing a front flip into the pool at her house and swimming. And I was like, oh, my God.
That's so cute.
I have so much anxiety about water.
I get it.
I can't even talk. I have so much anxiety around water.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're never alone. And Lenore and Avery are both really good swimmers. And they just have to grab it and stand up.
Yeah. I know. That's why I was like, make sure you clean the floor really good.
It's not slippy.
Slippery. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she was like, I did. I stood in because she uses her feet. Because it's just that, what is it? It's like vinyl. Like,
yes.
Yeah. So it can get a little slimy. I mean, but we put the chlorine tabs in, which I didn't do yesterday. But... So we'll do that after the kids swim. Makes sense. It's just fresh water. Yeah. Sitting in there for 24 hours.
Yeah, and Avery's eye probably shouldn't get hit with the chlorine right now.
Yeah.
The poor thing. She got beach eyeball.
Yeah. My parents took Avery and Lincoln for like a week. They picked him up my mom picked him up on Friday and kept him until Friday. So she was gone for a whole week. And same with Lincoln. But yeah, they went to the beach like 2 days in a row. Because my parents live by the beach, and she was boogie boarding, so she got like sand and salt water.
She like sand blasted in her eyeball.
She was like, I can feel it. And I was like, oh, I remember that as a kid. You know, you really hit that wave that crashes, and then like right as you get into, you know, the waves that crash like back to back, and so the one in front of you has all the sand, and you get it all in your mouth and up your nose.
It keeps tumbling you.
Yeah.
It's weird, and it's crazy because that's the simple fact of how easy it is to drown in the ocean, because it could be literally water barely to above your knee, but as long as it's low enough for you to put your head under, and you just keep tumbled and tumbled and tumbled over and over, and then you lose what direction. It's crazy.
Oh, I know. It's happened to me
scary.
A lot as a kid, and that's I think why I have a lot of anxiety about the beach.
See, our vacation, the Oregon coast is really brutal, and the water is never warm, but I've always been afraid. When I was a kid, the water, you didn't really play in the ocean too much because it was too cold. You could go in, oh my God, freeze and run out. Yeah. But like right now, I think the Oregon coast is like 68 degrees and mostly cloudy. So, I mean, that's a good day at the beach for me. I don't mind that at all because I'm just going to put my feet in the water and look for shells. So, but the problem is that people over there die all the time getting crushed by logs. Because it's just in general, trees crash down and they get washed down the river, and then that washes the outlet into the ocean. But also like barges that carry logs, they lose logs, and I swear in the Pacific Northwest in general, all the way up to like Washington, it's like it's not like riptide and sneaker wave warning. It's log warnings.
Yeah, that's crazy. We don't have that here.
It's log warnings.
If anything, here it's shark or
there's
like
no
wildlife.
Sharks, yeah.
Wildlife. There's sea life.
Actually, there is currently a regionally we call them cougars, but a mountain lion around the coast right now, which is interesting because I keep seeing articles about it. But Yeah, so instead of like warning toxic water like there is down here, it's like warning logs have frequently been washing up and they'll crush you to death, and they do.
That's crazy.
And they've killed a lot of children. It's a bummer.
That's crazy. Yep. I would just never let my kids go in the water.
You're just very like, you just don't go deep.
Yeah, no,
you just
here
like splash to the hip, but it's so cold.
Yeah, no, here you get the riptides really bad.
It's that clash of hot and cold water too.
Yeah,
I think.
And then when the kids were there, they saw a sea lion riding the waves. So there's like, that's why I'm like, there's sea life. You gotta look out for jellyfish. I remember going to the beach and there was a jellyfish that washed up on shore. So they're like, there's, but it's the ocean. But for the most part, it's like you just get the surfers and the boogie board. Like my kids were boogie boarding, and I guess there was another like few people boogie boarding and cheering her on because it was her first time going on a boogie board.
Cute.
So yeah, so they had fun. So that's why I was like, we'll do it soon. We'll do a beach trip because my mom has extra boogie boards. I don't, because we don't live by the beach. And we don't go that often because I don't really like the beach, where I'm like, I can go one time a summer and I'm good.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm like, I'll go once. Because I got 4 kids I got to like deal with and pack up, and all the sand in the van and... I know. I'm just too like OCD about certain things.
I get it though.
Because I'm the one that has to clean. I'm the one that has to like get everyone packed up and ready, and then
You're
get there,
catching puke in your bare hands for the inevitable sick child.
Yep,
which is my kid too. So it's like that's another
3 of
thing.
our kids.
It's like we just
all
it's
3
so
girls.
normal, and me and you, but you drive,
all of
so
us.
you don't get car sick when you're driving. I'm guessing.
No.
Yeah,
that's why I drive.
So weird. I know a lot of people like that too, and I'm hoping that I don't have that problem. I'm guessing I won't.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm almost 35 and I don't drive.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm 35 and I'm always the driver. So, but that's fine. I mean, my mom drove me to the mechanics to pick up the van, and I was fine. Cool. But that's like a short 10-minute drive.
Tiny drive, yeah.
So, but if I had to drive to the beach, I could not like be a passenger.
Be a passenger?
No, I've done it before. Like after I had Avery.
Newport's a little farther than I've gone. I realize, like I'm totally like the Venice, Santa Monica beach. That's where we'll go. But
no, Newport's like an hour.
Yeah, it's just a different direction, right?
Yeah,
it's not that way. Like I'm pointing, like anyone can see that way to Santa Monica. Is it more this way?
No, it's more like
straight. Okay, gotcha.
Straight across. Yeah, you take the 91.
Gotcha.
91 down to the
take the 91 down to go to Newport Beach.
Yeah, and it pretty much dead ends into Newport.
I've only been there a couple of times.
You went for my bridal shower.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so literally a couple times.
Yeah.
I've been 3 times, I think, then, because I went. Nope, just twice. Once my brother-in-law, he used to live in Newport, and we stayed there for just overnight. And but we also only went to the beach at nighttime that day. And then for your bridal shower, and I actually think that's it.
Oh, well, yeah.
So to me, it seems like a long drive. I think just because it's a different drive. So it seems like a long hour because everything is unfamiliar.
I can get there in an hour or less.
Oh, okay.
Depending on traffic. That's why I was saying if we did go for the day, we could go when there's not traffic heading there.
It needs to be like a Wednesday.
During the week when we head out after all the morning traffic.
Yep. Let's see. Maybe leave it. People leave for work for 9 to 5, so they need to like leave at 9, maybe.
Yeah, 9 or 10, and we always hit a little bit of traffic by like the 15 and the. Anyways, we sound like Californians.
Seriously,
California.
Like telling you our whole vacation plan. You guys are like, okay, that's cool. We're not fucking there.
Yeah,
but we're just chilling, talking to each other.
I know. Sometimes I forget we're recording. But yeah, we're gonna do the beach. Yeah, it's pretty much we live in Southern California, so it's like, what do? It's like you go to the beach, or
it's fucking hot.
Yeah, it's so hot, and it's a lot cooler by the beach. Or you just chill out in the pool in the backyard, or drive to my parents' house in Chino, and they have like a few houses, but 2, and then they rent out the other 2. But yeah, so go to my parents' house in Chino and swim in their pool because they actually have a pool, so like a big pool. But yeah, so we were just talking about summer stuff.
Trying to figure it out because, we homeschool. So we technically aren't restricted by a school schedule like that. But kind of just because the kids are bored.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out something.
And because they finish school in like an hour. And it's like, then what?
Yeah. So. It's like they wake up, have breakfast, do your school, hour, time to go. Let's go to the beach.
Yeah. That's what we were like, we'll just do that. And
eventually when this podcast takes off and we become rich, We'll go to Disneyland all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Seriously.
Help us get to Disneyland.
Join Patreon.
Yeah.
Seriously. You get it. You can try it for free.
For 7 days. And then if you like us.
And we have a pretty decent amount of our Mommies After Hours episodes there. And we're working on sending out we want to send out feelers if you have a paranormal story, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts,
crime.
anything true crime. Yeah, we really want to hear it.
Send us any interesting story that you have.
craftsandcrimepod@gmail.com.
Yep, send us an email.
We really want to read it. Don't be gross.
I know. Yeah, be nice.
And also, just a warning, we can sue people in California if you send genital pictures.
Yep.
It's a felony here.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we really, any story, even if you just want to say, hey.
Hey, we like
probably
you guys.
Could just be like, hey.
Or just, hey, I want to shout out, on
go.
Patreon. But you have to be on Patreon.
Yep. Thanks, Nancy Hasiak, because my mom and dad just got remarried again.
I know.
And Crystal Hasiak, our two Patreon supporters.
Yeah, as of right now.
Yeah. But yeah, we have more stuff coming. We really do.
Yeah.
But right now it's Mommies After Hours, and we're going to have some little trinkets. Maybe we'll do a giveaway of some kind. We're Cricut masters.
Yep.
You are not.
Well, I can make pretty much anything.
And so maybe we should make like a tote bag or something. We're going to do something fun.
Shirts, sweatshirts, bumper stickers, or window decals, I should say. Because I just made a window decal for the van and
yay,
your husband's car and my husband's car.
Whoop, whoop.
So it's like the QR code to our link tree. And so if that's something anyone would like, head over to Patreon and maybe we'll send out some window decals to our patrons.
That'd be fun.
And yeah, that would be fun. And then you can say, hey, I like these people. I'm going to put them on my car. So,
friends forever.
Yeah, I know. So, let's see. I forgot. I did the crime, or the craft. You did the crime. So you have.
It's my craft this week.
And you said it's itty bitty?
Yeah, it's pretty short and it's so funny because.
I keep hitting my microphone. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry. I'm good.
If you remember last week, when you had started talking about your craft,
sewing needles.
Yeah, and my eyes were like, "What?"
And I was like, "Oh no, what?"
No, my craft is needle felting.
What? That's crazy. What? We
don't talk about anything. And then before you were like macrame, and I was like, shut up. Like we never talk about this stuff. No,
and it's not like I'm talking to your mom all the time. No. And so it's not like she would have told me about
someday we're gonna have the same exact one.
I know.
You're gonna be like, I already wrote it. I'm like, well, let's sit together.
We'll compare notes.
Okay,
so needle felting.
Yeah,
did you get scared when I said needle? Sewing needles.
Sort of, but because I think you did say sewing needles, so I was like, what?
Yeah,
y'all get needles back to back.
Is when I was searching up sewing needles, it's like the subcategories. One of them is needle felting, and I'm like, well, I don't do that, so
I do.
Yeah. See, that's where we're the same but different.
Yeah. So, if in case people don't actually know the process of felting in general is you first separate fibers and then you are laying them out in a alternating pattern and then you are tangling the fibers back together and then it's like relocking the fibers and it's typically animal fiber. And it's been around since the Neolithic period, which was about 10,000 BCE to 2200 BCE. And there are museum historical samples of surviving pieces of felt dating to the Bronze and the Iron Age.
Oh, wow.
So the typical kind of felting that has been done throughout history is the wet felting, which is the same process. We're gonna use some sheep fiber, so we're gonna pull out the fibers that have already been processed, pull them into little short sections, run them vertically, make a mat, and run them horizontally.
Okay.
Then I'm guessing, because again, it's really tricky to find this information. It's strange. The tutorial that will be one of my sources as a YouTube video just to watch that I watched really quick. She uses a type of netting that's like a really open weave tool kind of.
Okay.
And then you take water and a little bit of soap. She just had bar soap.
Okay.
And she sloshed it together and she started padding the felt pad that she had made with the wool and the mesh on top.
Okay.
And as she gently pats and she's massaging, the net is knotting up the material.
Okay.
So she lifts the netting up just because sometimes the fibers will start to lock. So it's a process of just continuously mashing and rubbing gently, and you're rubbing it together.
Like,
exactly.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing back in the day they probably used a type of linen or silk fabric, or they possibly just scrubbed it on rocks is kind of what I'm thinking, with just water, because water will do it in general. So needle felting itself, again, I searched for so long trying to find this patent. I cannot find who made it.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we've talked about doing updated episodes of certain things, and I will try to find it and I'll let everybody know. Invented in the 1800s, with the very first patent of the needle punch machine was granted in 1859. And originally it was used to make insulation and batting, saddle pads, and it was made the same way, but it was used from, I love this term, of course I do, it was called slaughterhouse fabric.
Okay.
So what it was is just the trimmed off remnants of already woolen materials, like, knitted, crocheted materials. So it was like chunks of already pre-made, the ends of fabric, linen, the ends of the wool roving chunks and pads.
Okay. Just
if
like
you've ever got like a furniture moving blanket,
yes,
literally like that.
Okay.
That is it. It's felted,
just a bunch of random stuff.
threads and craft felted, including the clipped hair of soldiers. But nobody was wearing these. Do you remember that episode where SpongeBob knitted Squidward a sweater made of his eyelashes? So, oh my God, so itchy. So, so the soldier's hair, because apparently human hair is really insulating. So the machine is made up of basically a block of wood, large, obviously, with the barbed needles. Now, when I say barbed needles, think of if you took a sewing needle and you took a pair of scissors and you just like jammed it and made a really sharp little niche in it.
Okay.
Because that's what it looks like to the naked eye. And so what happens is process as the board comes down and all the needles stab through the layered up materials, it's stabbing, ripping, and knotting as it's pulling up, pushing down, pulling up, and it's knotting over and over, and it makes this big giant pad. So this is how the machine works. Sorry. It was much quicker than wet felting because there was also no drying process. There was no process of possibility of mold or mildew. And soap is expensive. Especially back then. So they ended up, this process continued, and it was used as an underlay for carpet, dust barriers, and also much later as car flooring when vehicles were in mass production.
Okay.
This process did not change. It stayed exactly the same, and felted is the same process with these machines, just updated and more mechanized, and it's probably a steel plate with needles that are industrial and last forever. In the 80s, moving 100 years, 150 years later, David and Eleanor Stanwood, sorry, my handwriting, they worked with felt producers in Belgium. They had a sheep ranch, and so they would sell them their product. And I believe that they also were like had a business that also sold the products that the company made of like batting, quilt batting, and things like that. So they were running out of uses for the fleece. I have talked about this in the past episode. A fleece is so heavy and it takes so much process to strip it of the lanolin. It takes so long. It's really caustic. And today, okay, let me take that back. I was like 20. But when I was 20, a sheep farmer had told me that the giant bags of that they use to hold the fleece to take to market, the bags cost like $12 and the fleece is worth $9.
Yeah.
So you're literally paying someone else to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because you have to shear the sheep. So they were running out of uses. They didn't have enough and too much fleece. So the couple had wanted to start making lightweight quilt batting. And in case you don't know what that is, it's the middle section of cooler material blankets and quilts, and it is just like a light fluffy cotton, it's usually polyester, material, but you could see through it. It's really wispy. It looks like the stuff inside of a stuffed animal, but as a sheet, but solid. And so they wanted to make a lightweight version, and so Eleanor went to her producer in Belgium, and she actually bought the needles that are meant to use to replace the needles in the industrial machine. And she started needle felting quilt batting by hand.
Oh my gosh.
Light and airy and beautiful. And she made this technique so good that she actually started the market for felted, because like scratchy, for felted scarves, that would be, and shawls. But imagine all soft and fleecy and warm, thin but warm knitwear, but felted. Yeah. And so, ironically, in the early 80s, so around this same time, and I'm sorry, David and Eleanor, I believed, also lived in California.
Oh, okay.
So an artist, a textile artist here in California named Ayala Talpai, she was gifted a bunch, like a handful bunch of various styles and samples of felting needles that a friend brought her from New England from an abandoned wool mill, because these you could not just get them. They were not a thing that was available to people. And so she really brought needle felting to the forefront of folk art, and she got really popular with these super precious, ridiculously adorable little trolls. And nowadays, a needle felt, again, COVID picked up, and it's a craft that you can do. I love the sound. It makes like this crunchy, stabby. And come on, who doesn't want to stab something like a million times sometimes? But it's actually a really booming craft, and you can buy the stuff everywhere, anywhere, online. It's super popular in like Japanese kawaii crafting, and it's super readily available for everyone. And surprisingly, wool roving now is really cheap, because again, the availability for it and the process is different and mechanized, industrialized, and so these materials are actually really cheap. Just like my quilling episode, I got a kit on Amazon that was huge, and it even came with like fake little eyeballs so you could make little creatures. It was like $12.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen the needle felting kits on Amazon.
I am not great at it, but what I do needle felting for is like 3-dimensional embroidery. But I do love it really is relaxing to just like that's what it sounds like. It's so crunchy and amazing, and I love it. But you'll stab yourself. Yeah, you really will. But I have 2 fun facts.
Yay, my favorite.
Kevlar is actually felt.
Oh, okay.
Kevlar is a type of felted super polymer fiber.
Wow. And
it was invented by a woman at DuPont.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole nother something else. Yeah. But yeah, this woman was like a genius. I'm sorry, I don't have her name. I'm a jerk. I thought about it, and then this was literally right before we recorded. She created this amazing felt, and it turned into what is Kevlar now as we know it, which is so interesting.
That is.
It's felted plastic.
Yeah.
Super plastic. And actually, lots of different types of felt are used on space shuttles and space stations. They use felt for sound dampening and soundproofing, because it's like there's no sound in space, so I imagine it would echo pretty bad inside of these metal boxes. And it's used for thermal protection. There's a kind of felt called, I don't know if it's Nomex or Nomex. Nomex Felt Reusable Surface Insulation. It's a white, flexible fabric, and it offers heat protection up to 371 degrees Celsius, which is 700 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So I'm guessing it's probably right around the part where the rocket, like...
Yeah, that would make sense. Ta-da! Wow.
I am allergic to wool.
Yeah.
But I love felting. Apparently my hands aren't allergic.
Well, I need to shave my Angora still because it's so hot, and I just haven't shaved Mildred because I think she's due with babies, but we could totally shave Mildred soon. And then you've got some I almost said alpaca. I don't have alpacas. I have Angoras.
I'll make a rabbit out of rabbit hair.
That would be
and then
cute.
we'll post it on Instagram.
Yeah. There you go. We'll record it for Patreon.
Yeah, but the sound is really magic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, that would be fun.
Excuse me.
So, wow, good job. It's crazy how it was like a crossover and we didn't even mean to do that. It
happens a lot.
I know, but I do. When I said that on the last episode and I saw your eyes, I was like, oh no, is this the episode where it's like, that's what I was going to do? I already had
it written out.
But I did a very specific thing, but you did too. And I try to
weird. And these don't have eyeballs. They actually, sorry, I guess I could have explained that.
The sorry?
No, I said and I went, oh, sorry. I guess I should have explained that. The needle felting tool now that we use, there are several different kinds. So you can do tiny projects, which is a single needle, and they have different hook, like the little barb on it. It's deeper, bigger, but it looks like the handle of an ice pick. It's a nice, cozy, ergonomic kind of handle in your hand. And it typically has a part that you swivel apart or pull out. So mine has a little... looks like a cork, and you pull it out because the end of your needle felting needle is an L bar. And so you take the L bar and you jam it down into the wooden cork looking piece, and then you put that into the handle. Oh, there you go. That's all I forgot. Sorry. And that's the tool, the hand tool. But some people will just use it, the metal, without even the handle, because there are specifically ones that like are 3 needles in. You have to jam that down.
I have seen that.
So it just depends. But I only use the one needle because I still stab myself a lot. And again, I'm just doing small projects. Like I did a
do you stab yourself like in the finger, like
it's whatever you're holding. So you're holding between my thumb and index finger. Say I'm making a ball. The first project I did was a tomato. And so I made a little teeny tiny tomato, and you're holding it, and you'll stab and it'll go through and hit you right in the thumb or the finger.
That's not like, can you wear a thimble?
Yes. My set actually comes with 2 leather finger cots.
Oh, cool.
They don't work.
Oh.
But they're
what
cheap.
If you did like
if you had like a good one
the
or
metal
something. I don't know if
plastic.
you'd be able to manipulate it the way you need to, because you also need to feel how deep the needle is going, because if you do it super duper deep, you're going to knot it tight. You have to do it surface level sometimes. Sometimes you need to do it really deep. It helps to be able to feel it. So with the leather, you can still kind of feel it resonate. It feels, I don't do it super often, but it feels like if you ever had to get your blood sugar taken. It's not horrific. You're just like, ouch. You get tender little
I've poked
fingers.
myself so many times, even with the
like the blunt.
Yeah, even the embroidery needle, and it's blunt, or the cross stitch needle.
Yeah,
I swear it's its own thing. But
I think it is because an embroidery needle has to be sharp because it's going through fabric.
So it's like a cross stitch needle is very blunt, and I've poked myself with a blunt needle. I'm like, ew,
because it still has like a tiny little
it's got
point
some point
at
to
the
it.
end.
Yeah, because you're going through a small little.
Especially because if you have like a really small count of Aida cloth, it's got to push the fiber apart.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, if it's a tight weave, but wow. Well, that was interesting. So
Thanks.
we learned about needles and needle crafting. I'm like, what's next?
We're just moving right on through everything, and I mean, at
some point we're gonna have to collaborate.
I really don't know what I'm doing next.
I don't either. That's why I'm like, at some point we're gonna have to collaborate, because I don't think I have. That was my foot on my desk because I can't sit still for some reason. So yeah, we'll get to that point, but I have some ideas when I was looking up. I do have one that I want to do, and it's going to be a really in-depth one. So I'm like,
well, just tell me when you want to do it, and I'll make sure that day I have a short crime even though every time we think anything is short, it's not.
I know. That's why I'm like, oh, my crime this week might be a little short, but we'll see. So might as well get into it.
Okay.
I know. So my case, I'm sorry, let me adjust my microphone for 1 second. That's why you're hearing everything. I need to sit up straight. I was really relaxed sitting back at my chair. Okay. So this is the case of Beth Von Steinner. So in Spotsylvania, Virginia, on December 22nd, 2009, Beth Von Steinner is baking some cookies for her church. And she talks to her brother Eric on the phone, who lives about an hour away from her. And they're talking about plans for Christmas get-togethers. And the plan is she's going to drive out to his house the very next day. So they're going to celebrate Christmas, early. So the next day rolls around, and Beth doesn't show up at her brother's house. So Eric tries calling her like a bunch of times, and she doesn't answer. And then her son also tries to get a hold of her with no answer. So both of them are like really worried because it's not like Beth to just like not show up at a family event, and so they, decide to, let's just call the police to do like a welfare check, go and check out the house and see what's going on. Because remember, her brother lives an hour away. So it's like, well, let's just call the police and see. So
maybe she got like the stomach flu. She's like stuck on the toilet or something.
Yeah, and she's just not answering the phone. So officers go to her house and they tell them like everything looks fine. There's no evidence of anything, and there's no sign of Beth. So it's now Christmas, and her brother knows that she would not miss Christmas. So he decides to drive to her house himself to look for her because they still can't get a hold of her.
Oh, no.
So Eric enters the home and he notices that the power to the house is out. So he is like, that's strange. But then he also notices something else. She had a big rack of DVDs. So kind of picture like your living room, one of your shelves, a big shelf full of DVDs. And it should be completely full, but most of them were gone. Like her brother says that like about 80% of the DVDs were gone.
Wow.
So it's like, what? That's weird.
No, DVDs aren't worth anything. That's strange.
Well, this is 2009, so this is when everything was on DVD. Remember when we would get like Netflix in the mail?
Yeah, I guess they were more.
Yeah. That was like the beginning-ish of Netflix. Well, no, it was like around for a while, but yeah. So yeah, we're that old.
Seriously.
We got Netflix and DVDs.
I
buy
DVDs for $3 right now. I'm like,
Yeah, you do have a lot of DVDs.
Like 1,000.
So imagine if I walk into your house and 80% of your DVDs are gone,
notice.
I'm gonna know like what,
for sure.
Especially since I helped pack them up and move them. But yeah, so it's just strange. It's like, what? This is odd. So
and moving that many DVDs is not easy.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think it was as much as you, but it was like a big shelf. So I'm picturing maybe one of your bookshelves full of DVDs, like maybe 80% of that is gone. Whatever you could carry, probably in trash bags or whatever.
I get, yeah.
So, so her brother's still there, like, okay, that's weird. And then he notices a red stain on the carpet.
Oh, no.
And so he decides to call 911 so officers can come back out and take another look around. And, of course, he's thinking the worst, like she's nowhere to be found. What's this red stain? So detectives show up at Beth's house, and Eric shows them the stain on the carpet, but it's quickly determined to be red wine, not blood.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So it's just, wine. But still, there's no sign of Beth.
And where's her DVDs?
Yeah. So
weird.
Yeah, because like clearly something happened. There's stuff missing from her house. She's not here. So detectives are like, okay, we're going to look around the house. I think her brother just like, okay, just walked in, saw this stuff. This is weird. I'm going to call authorities. Something happened. I don't think he's like, I'm not going to look around.
With anything.
No. So detectives are like, okay, we're going to look around the house now that we're in the house and see if we can find anything else out of the ordinary or any signs to see like what happened. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it didn't take long for them to find out that something did happen. They enter the bedroom and they find a ton of blood and blood splatter. There was high impact blood splatter on the walls, and there was contact blood transfer on the bed and the floor. There was a ton of blood in the room. And one of the detectives lifted up a mat that was next to the bed and found a pool of blood that was coagulated, and there was human tissue and brain matter in the blood.
Oh my gosh.
So CSI is immediately called to assist in the investigation. And the house and the outbuildings were searched. They literally were we need to search everywhere. Foul plays happen. It's something's going on. We need to find out what's going on.
Yeah, the average person doesn't fall and crack their brain everywhere.
No, but this was all over.
Exactly.
So it was clear that it was blood spatter.
Yeah.
I keep saying splatter on the walls. It was high impact, so it was someone was hit.
Exactly.
And the blood flew on the wall. So so they are searching everywhere outside, and detectives notice a really suspicious pile of trash that just seemed a little out of place, and it was pretty far away from the house, so it was just kind of a weird spot for trash to be piled up.
Yeah.
And so detectives searched through this pile, and they noticed human flesh peeking out of the pile. They then obviously had to treat all of this trash as evidence, because there could be a fingerprint, there could be blood, there could be anything. So they have to carefully remove all this trash.
Having to literally keep every tiny scrap of everything and document all of it.
Yeah.
And look at every single bit of it under a microscope.
Yeah, exactly. So very tedious. So then they get down to a sheet, and when the sheet was removed, they saw the body of Beth Von Steinner. And this is in December in Virginia, so her body was frozen. So her body was taken for autopsy. So meanwhile, CSI are scouring the house for clues, and they find a mop bucket with the liquid inside that appeared to be blood. So it's maybe they tried to clean up the blood.
They just realized it was
too much. They can't do it. Yeah. And there were multiple items missing, not just the DVDs. Her Dodge pickup truck was missing. Her purse, her cell phone, and her credit cards were missing. And obviously the DVDs, but also VHS tapes were missing from the home, and DVD players and stuff. So over 200 items of evidence were collected at the scene and sent to the lab.
Wow.
So imagine those CSI...
You're so busy.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine getting that in, you just show up to work on, a Monday morning, and it's we've got 200 pieces of evidence that we need you to scour through, and half of that's probably trash.
Fast as possible.
Yeah. So detectives at the scene looked through some piles of papers that were around because they're looking through the house, and they find a bank statement showing that her account had about $16,000 in it. And they see that there was a transaction that occurred at the bank on December 22nd, the last day that Beth was known to be alive. Remember, she talked to her brother.
Right.
So they knew, okay, something happened on the 22nd at the bank. So they go to the bank to see if there was surveillance showing who made the transaction. And when they play the video, it's corrupted. And the way that people are popping in and out, it's really glitchy.
Why does this happen every time?
I know. And at a bank. Come on. So it's really
it's so offensive how often this happens.
Yeah. And so you could kind of see, okay, there's a person, they disappear. There's a person, as they're walking, they disappear, whatever. So they attempt to slow down the video so that they could try to get a clearer image of people coming in and out of the bank. And they notice a woman standing at the counter wearing a bandana, and it looks like Beth Von Steinner. So it was Beth. And there's no signs of danger around her. Everything's perfectly normal. So they know, okay, she just went to the bank. It was her. It wasn't anybody else. And they knew she was alive on the 22nd. She talked to her brother, So investigators then decide to talk to Beth's neighbors. And one neighbor says that she talked to Beth just hours after she left the bank around 9 o'clock. And Beth told her she had a couple of friends over and had to kick out an intoxicated woman. She said that Beth told her it was an all-girl party, but the neighbor said she was pretty sure she heard the voice of a man. So detectives then find a receipt from Walmart dated December 21st.
So the day before.
The day before at 1:07 p.m. for a mop, bucket, and cleaning supplies. So then they're thinking, did the killer go and buy these items before
planning this?
Yeah. So they're like, okay, we need to contact Walmart, get the CCTV footage for like right around that time. So they go to Walmart. They're able to get access to the footage, and they're looking at the registers right around the time of the receipt, because they have the timestamped receipt. So they look at the footage around the registers, and they see that the person buying the items is Beth. So she bought the items. And
so she just bought normal cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
It was just a coincidence that used her for her own murder.
She just bought items
That's so sad.
would, like, the person would attempt to clean up her murder. So Beth is then seen leaving the store and going to her gray Dodge pickup truck. And detectives continue to watch footage now from the parking lot at Walmart. And at 1:11 p.m., a shopping cart comes into view. And there are two people that are seen helping Beth load up her truck. And unfortunately, they're too far away. The footage is really grainy. So they now knew Beth wasn't alone and that there were two other people that got into her truck and drove away with her. So the camera over the exit is looked at so they can see, like, when Beth leaves the store, like, who are these two people? Were they with her? And they can tell that one person is small and slim and was wearing a light colored top and wearing a hat. Second person was taller and was wearing a baseball hat, a hoodie, and baggy pants. They appeared to be a male and a female.
Okay.
So they're thinking maybe these were some of the guests that were at her house for the little party that she had, a little get together. But there's no clear view of their faces. They really don't know who they're looking for. They just know, okay, these are two people that have had contact with her around the day that she was killed. So meanwhile, the medical examiner's report comes in, and Beth's cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The wound pattern indicated that it was a sharp, rounded item like a spade, and the manner of death was clearly homicide. Beth's credit card records then come in, and her credit card was used at a local Kohl's and a nearby gas station. Both of these transactions happened on December 23rd.
The day after.
So at this point, she had not shown up at her brother's house. Remember, she was supposed to be there on the 23rd. So they knew, we need to go to Kohl's, try to see the
security footage.
Yes.
Okay.
So on the Kohl's footage, just before the transaction at 5:14.
Oh, God.
Someone in a pink bandana shows up on the screen. They are seen putting clothes and shoes on the counter, and the only thing that detectives can see in the video is the back of the person's head, and is clearly a woman. And the footage showed it wasn't Beth. It was not Beth using her card. There is more footage looked over at Kohl's. Like, they try to look at different areas.
Different angles, try to see if she walked past.
Yes, and they were able to find a better picture of the woman that used her card. And now they're wondering, is this the same woman who was with Beth at Walmart? If so, then where is the man? So then they look at the front entrance footage to see when she's walking in, and they see a man walking in with her at 4:50 p.m. And the man was behind her, and he had a gray sweater and a hat. So,
like the same outfit, right?
And so basically, it's, once again, surveillance video is never really clear. It's never good.
And it sucks because, like, you think they should, because stuff like this happens. And,
all
like,
the time.
when don't you want to know who stole your crap? You can't even see. You can't even tell.
You can barely get a good picture.
You guys are like multi-billion-dollar companies, and you can't have decent freaking security cameras in your stores.
Yeah. So it's once again, it's always a grainy photo. It's always very, very hard to see.
Yeah.
So Beth's neighbor is called in to see if she can identify any of the party guests, and she wasn't able to. However, she did give detectives a possible name, Desi. So they're thinking, okay, well, we got to look into this Desi chick. So at this time, footage comes in from the gas station where Beth's card was used for the last time. So the last transaction on her card was at this gas station. Shows on December 23rd at 5:42 p.m., just 30 minutes after the suspects were seen on surveillance at Kohl's, they show up in a pickup truck.
Her stolen pickup
looks
truck.
like Beth's.
Okay.
They pull in, and the two suspects from Kohl's are seen like on camera, and the man was wearing the white sweater that was purchased at Kohl's using Beth's credit card.
Oh my gosh.
It is clear like these two people are just going on a shopping spree using her credit card after she's been killed. So these two people also, they just were going about, like, didn't look remorseful or anything. They just, apparently they're, detectives are thinking like they just killed this woman and they're going off using her card. So all the evidence is pointing directly towards them.
Yeah.
So detectives are like, we need to find this Desi person. So they end up finding 28-year-old Desiree Worthen. Yeah, Worthen. And she had been arrested on December 22nd that night for public intoxication. That was the same night Beth kicked out a drunk woman out of her party. She was also a good match to the woman seen on the footage. And so they tracked Desiree, I think it is, but it's spelled Desiree, to a battered women's shelter in Northern Virginia. And she had been hiding there for the past few days after a pretty violent assault. And so
was it by that guy, or does it not?
Yeah, pretty much. Detectives asked her if she recognized Beth, and they could tell that like she was lying and she didn't want. Clearly, it was like, I'm not going to talk. So then they tell her like, we have footage of you and Beth together. So she then says that the last time she saw Beth was when she had kicked her out because she was drunk, and then after that it was just her and Benny. She said that she was at Beth's house with Benny. And she tells detectives that on December 22nd, her and Benny helped Beth clean up her house. She said that Beth was like really trying to help her get on her feet, like back on her feet. And then she tells them, like, as they're cleaning up, her and Benny found a bank statement showing that Beth had $16,000 in her account. So Desi said that she was going to try to wire herself $500 from Beth's account. And she said that she tried to do it because she was drunk, but Beth caught on to her and threw her out. She was then later arrested for public intoxication, and she was held overnight. So this showed that Desi was not there when Beth was killed.
Gotcha.
She said that after she was released, her and Benny went shopping at Kohl's with Beth's credit card. She claims like Benny told her he had Beth's permission to use her cards. And she said that when she started questioning him as to like, well, where's Beth? Why do you have her truck and her cards? It was all of this questioning and doubt that ended up with Benny hitting her in the face, like pretty bad. So he threatened her.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you question me or whatever. And he threatened her to be quiet or she would end up in the trash pile too.
Gross.
So detectives knew that she was telling the truth because nobody knew where they found Beth's body. So that was like, she had to have known, but it couldn't have been her. She was
in prison.
She was locked at jail. Yeah, she was
drunk tank.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
sleeping it off.
So they then get Benny's full name, Benny Wayne McCroskey. A background check shows that he has a record, and he was recently released from prison on November 5th, 2009. He was their main suspect.
1 freaking month. 2
That's
months.
all he could do.
A month and a half. You can't freaking not kill someone in a month and a half.
So they try to find him at his last known address, and they knew that he was living with a woman named Brandy Taylor. And when they go to the house and talk to Brandy, they show her a picture of Benny, and she says that Benny is her boyfriend's uncle. She was able to provide like a bit more of a timeline.
Is that why they were at the party? Like the kind of like acquaintances of the boy? Because wasn't it supposed to be an all-girl party? Yeah.
So Benny and Benny and Desi were together. Okay. They were with Beth because they were cleaning her house. She was kind of helping them out, So yeah. So when they go to his house, Benny's house, it's his nephew's girlfriend or whatever. Okay. So she's saying like, no, that's my boyfriend's uncle. And so she said like he had been staying with them on and off since the 22nd. Mm-hmm. And he hadn't been around the past couple of days. And then she says that on December 23rd, when he came to the house, he had a big trash bag full of DVDs and a DVD player as a gift for her son.
Oh.
So that's when they were able to put together that the DVD player was one of the DVD players missing from Beth's house. Okay. And they figure he's like, all of the DVDs, though, weren't given to her son. So they're like, well, I bet you he's trying to sell these other ones. Mm-hmm. And so detectives look at pawn shops in the area, and only a few hours later, they have a lead. A pawn shop 10 miles away from Beth's house had a man come in with 70 DVDs to sell. And this man matched Benny's description, and so surveillance is set up at the pawn shop waiting for his return. And so when he does return to the pawn shop, detectives try to approach him, but he takes off running. And he is last seen running across a car dealership. And so a canine unit is called to help find him. And eventually he was found in the car dealership parking lot and he was taken into custody. So when detectives tried to interrogate him, he completely refuses to talk about Beth. And detectives then are like, okay, we have to piece together what he's just not talking. So like this is what detectives come up with. So in this timeline, Desi and Benny are at Beth's house. Beth throws Desi out after seeing her try to transfer money. Mm-hmm. Benny then turned violent, and they see that an attack started in the bed and blows to her head occurred while she was in the bed. She was then put on the floor, and more blows were inflicted on her head. And then her body was then dragged out of the house and put into the trash pile next to the shed. And then clearly he tried to clean up. So before the case goes to trial, Benny McCroskey enters an Alford plea. And an Alford plea is basically when the defendant formally is like admitting guilt with being able to still maintain innocence. Like, oh, these charges, sure, but like I'm still innocent. So I guess to like avoid going to trial. But so Benny was convicted of second-degree murder and grand larceny. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. That's it.
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm. Desi admits to using the cards, but she didn't know of Beth's death, and detectives believe her because she couldn't have been there. The timeline just didn't match up. Mm-hmm. So she pleads guilty to credit card fraud and identity theft, and she gets 8 months. In this case, obviously, all of the video evidence was crucial because without it, like, think about it, they would not have been able to pinpoint down these two people.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have been able to get more of a lead with this Desi name, you know, but I think it's the mountain of proof.
Exactly.
That shows he was here. She's not making it up, because otherwise it's just like, you know, I guess it's hearsay. Like, well, she's just saying that he was there. We don't know. But, like, she could have killed Beth and then left, you know. But it was like, no, she was clearly seeing, or, you know, she was, I don't know. So, yeah, the video evidence, all the surveillance. It's crazy how many of these cases are, like, solved with video evidence. Otherwise, it probably would have been a cold case. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was the surveillance footage that really helped piece it all together. And so...
So yeah, big corporations listening to this, you need to upgrade your security system cameras to something better than the kind of digital cameras we had back in the day on our phones.
I have better surveillance at my house. I have way better surveillance cameras. I mean, it can be a little grainy sometimes, but it's like I can tell a face, you know.
Yeah, like when you go into any like larger type of grocery store and you look up and there's like the diagonal glass panels, the security people are right back there watching the registers. Like, there's people there, there's cameras there. I know it's at Walmart.
I know.
too.
And
a lot.
Yeah, because there was one time I went to Staters and I got cash back, and I needed 100 cash back, and then I get home and I was like, I didn't get my cash, and and I'm like looking and I'm like, I know I
so
don't remember.
Your receipt?
Yes,
and showed that it was
transaction, and I didn't get it, so I went back to Staters, And
look at your cameras.
Yeah, I knew they were up there. And so I went to the cashier and I told her, I was like, do you remember me? I got 100 cash back, but you didn't give it to me. I don't have it. And so they had to call a manager, and then I could see, like, you could barely see them up there, and I could see that they were checking the footage because they used to have the timestamp on my receipt.
Yeah.
And they looked and they see that she never took it out of the register and gave me any money, so I got my money.
That's good.
But they were like, yeah, we could see on surveillance you didn't get it. Sorry about that. So it's an easy mistake. You know, it's like, oh, she didn't realize that I got 100 back. And I think I was trying to get groceries in the cart and stuff, or I think I had Troy with me and dealing with a toddler. So,
oh, that's scary.
But yeah, so it's crazy what surveillance, you know, cameras can do to help.
Really? Get $100 back.
Yeah. Ordinary people like us, and help, you know, find the killers. So yeah, that's, so I watched this it was on Discovery Plus. It's See No Evil. I'll put it in the sources, so you know, you can watch it. It was really good.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways, that was
good job.
Yeah, thanks.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a twist I wasn't expecting. When I was like, oh my gosh, I
was like, they both did it.
That's what I thought.
But then, like, with her being in the drunk tank, I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
She's just dumb and is fine with the fact that her boyfriend stole someone else's money. Because that's what she thinks is happening in her mind.
Well, yeah, and she clearly knew something was up.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No.
Also, I'm just like, I mean, he literally told you you'll end up in the trash bag body. Why don't you call somebody then?
You'll end up in the trash too. Well, he hit her, and then she was scared, so she had to go in hiding.
She ran.
Yeah, so she was in a battered women's shelter.
That sucks.
So yeah, I know she only got 8 months. I hope she kind of got her life back on track, you know, and got back on her feet. So I don't know. I didn't see anything else updated. I just know he's still in prison until like 2032 or something like that.
For not freaking long enough?
No, it does not feel long enough.
Weird.
Yeah, that was he murdered her and tried to hide her body, and yeah. So, anyways, sorry to bring you all down. I hope you're all having a better day with the story. But yeah. Okay, well, with that, stay crafty
and not crimey.
Bye.